How's everyone doing today? Didn't really do much to talk about today news-wise, so we're probably just gonna vibe a little bit. Fungus. So, like the only major news stuff that has happened was Alberta's thing, and then like some Russia-Ukraine stuff, but I don't really feel like talking about. Just gonna have a little bit of fun today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today with Dr. Hinshaw to provide an update on COVID-19. Dr. Hinshaw will have more details in a moment, but I'd like to talk about some broad trends that we are seeing. The data is for the period from Tuesday, April 12th to Monday, April 18th. The trends are similar to last week. The data so far is mixed. There are increases in virus circulation and hospital admissions, but they're smaller and moving more slowly than we saw in the initial Omicron wave. We are seeing some impact from the BA2 subvariant, but so far it's much less than we saw a few months ago with BA1. That's what we've been expecting based on experience in other jurisdictions such as BC and Ontario, and given our high vaccination rate and recent exposure to BA1. There are also some early signs that BA2.
Doesn't Alberta have like the lowest vaccination in Canada? I don't remember. And like I literally called this like at the end of February. They were going to remove all the restrictions, or at least the more conservative provinces. Like basically Alberta all the way to Ontario. And exactly what I said it was going to happen ends up happening.
Infections may be at a plateau. The average positivity rate of PCR tests completed over the past 7 days was 25.9%, which is very similar to the previous week's average of 26.6%. And wastewater levels are high in many locations, but they mostly remain below the levels we've seen previously during BA1.
What the hell are you going to learn from wastewater levels? You really want to check to see how much I'm pissing? Like I know that wastewater levels have like traces of like COVID and shit, but I don't think that's a good enough substitute for actually getting fucking tested.
In Edmonton, the level is near the BA1 peak, but in Calgary, it's rising more slowly, and in some locations, the levels are fluctuating or dropping. And more importantly, we're not seeing the same impact on hospital admissions that we've seen before. Hospitalizations due to COVID-19 ticked up this past week about 3% to 1,126.
Give it time.
That follows a similar increase from the week before. However, we have fewer Albertans in ICU due to COVID this week, 43 compared to 46. It's also important to look at the total patient numbers in our hospitals, because COVID is no longer driving excess admissions above normal levels the way it's done before.
Why is Jason Kenney so stupid? Like, just because it's like slowly been on uprise, that doesn't mean that it's not gonna get to the point where it was, you fucking moron. He is the dumbest premier in all of fucking Canada. Like, Jesus Christ. Even like fucking Doug Ford and Heather Stephenson are smarter than him.
The total number of patients
And
in
I
our
hate both of
hospitals
them.
has been stable for the past couple of months. COVID admissions have increased, but the total hasn't. The total is within normal bed base overall and normal for this time of year. A couple of other key points. First, there were 167 patients in our adult general ICUs this morning compared to the normal pre-COVID base of
Who, Jason Kennedy's?
173 beds. The ICUs have been within their normal bed base on most days for several weeks now.
So Jason Kenney, we talked about this last week, but it sounds like Jason Kenney is facing a lot of competition right now for running for premier again from the NDP, which go NDP. So he's gonna have to roll a lot of shit back that, that he had repealed, like the mandates, for example, as well as like since there since there are provincial elections coming up sometime shortly, he's gonna try everything he can to stay in the position of power, but it ultimately doesn't fucking matter. So chances are very good he will probably be defeated this election. So it doesn't really matter because conservatives are just complete dog shit.
They're still at nearly 100%, and that's too high, but it's a big change from the numbers that we've seen before. And the system continues to complete near normal volumes of surgery. The waiting list continues to come down gradually. It's currently about 7,200 compared to 76,600 at the beginning of March and 68,000 before the pandemic. That's good, but to be clear, we're going to bring it down a lot faster, and I'll be saying more about our plans to do that in the coming days. As I said last week, a few of the big hospitals in Edmonton and in Calgary are over 100% capacity, and that's a concern, obviously, but it's also in line with past years before COVID. And likewise, emergency departments and EMS are continuing to see very high volumes of patients, and that means delays and long wait lists.
Doesn't that just mean that, doesn't that just show that, like, yes, our healthcare is free, which I am grateful for. But that just doesn't that just show how dog shit the healthcare system actually is? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, we should be investing more into our fucking healthcare system. Pride ourselves so much on having a great healthcare system, but like half the time, it either fucking doesn't want to work properly because of how underfunded it is, and a lot of like fucking medical biases as well. That doesn't really help either. Oh.
For some patients. I sympathize with patients and families who are
No, you don't.
frustrated by these delays, and we're adding resources to try to keep up. But the reality is that the system is stretched at times, even in a normal winter, and there's a lot more pressure on the system right.
Free does not equal good. I mean, yeah, that is true. But like, I think the standard, like, granted, I think our healthcare system is far better than the Americans, because the American healthcare system, you have to pay fucking huge ass amounts of money to get your healthcare, as well as you know that the service that is provided in the States is just completely fucking awful. So like, I think ours is better in that regard, or in both of those regards. But when we're looking outwards to say like the NHS, or hell, like even Japan's or China's healthcare system, ours, like our universal healthcare, just fucking sucks. Like the bottom line, or the bare minimum that I think it should be at is the NHS, because you know, they actually have a better healthcare system than we do. Like even the fucking dumbass conservatives in Britain, like Boris Johnson, for example, has fucking like lies and says that they're gonna fund the NHS more, and we can't even get that from the fucking liberals here. So
Right now than in a normal winter after 2 years of COVID-19. We need to recover from the pandemic, and we will, but we need to do more. We're building more capacity into the system so that it's not stretched so severely. Normal shouldn't mean stretching core units way over 100% a lot of the time every year, and in a bad year, canceling surgery, even with COVID-19. For now, COVID remains a real threat, but we've come a long way, and we're going to keep moving forward.
every time, my
Just
guy.
3 months ago, we were living with restrictions on social interactions and capacity limits in public spaces. We're transitioning to living with COVID, not by denying it.
We literally gonna have this under control if your fucking dumbass support base, actually followed restrictions, we wouldn't have to fucking live with it. If, people actually follow the restrictions that were put in place. But like the vast majority of people did, and like did it well, especially like during wave 1, but like after wave 2, a bunch of the dipshits were like, this is too hard. Can't do this anymore, as well as, you know, fucking workplaces were like had lobbied like CDC and we're like, no, we need fuckers to work because we're not making any money. And we looked, and Health Canada looked at that and was like, oh, that's okay. If the US is doing it, so should we. It's idiotic. Like the reduction from like 14 days to 5 makes absolutely no sense. Like it makes no sense. There's no empirical evidence to actually support that decision.
But by relying on the proven protection of vaccines and also respecting people's freedom to judge their own risk and take appropriate precautions. There's no overstating the importance of vaccination. We've gotten where we are today because 90% of Albertans have gotten vaccinated, and we need people to keep on getting every dose of vaccine they're eligible for. COVID has not gone away. The wastewater data shows there's still a lot of it around, and if you're not vaccinated, it remains a real risk. We're getting through the current surge without the kind of disruption we've seen before. And some people may be thinking, I'll wait and get that third dose if things get really bad again.
The funny thing is that the third dose, it sounds like it's going to become mandatory, and then they're expecting a 4th booster shot. So that doesn't even matter, my guy. Just because some dumbass people say, oh, I'll wait for my 3rd dose when it's going to be mandatory, it doesn't mean that, you shouldn't have had your 3rd dose already. Like, I got mine as soon as I was able to.
Please don't wait. There's enough Omicron circulating right now to be a real risk. So if you're eligible for another dose, please get it now. A reminder that 4th doses are also available to all Albertans age 70 and older, First Nations, Inuit and Métis people age 65 and older, and all residents in seniors congregate care facilities, provided that at least 5 months have passed since your 3rd dose.
Like, provided I am Indigenous, I'm still not going to be getting my fucking shot right away. Like, I'm gonna be waiting for, like, the old people to get theirs first, and then when time is right, I'm going to be getting my shot. Like, I'll just follow what Health Canada's guidelines say.
Dose. So please book an appointment for a 4th dose.
How could you build a new work style? Not 5 days. Like, are you referring to how they dealt with COVID, or just in general, or like what we have to do with work?
If you or someone you care about is in one of these groups. The Alberta vaccine booking system is always open and available online, or you can call 811 or go see a pharmacy close to you. And a reminder that we have COVID-19.
Just in general, like the hierarchical structure that is faced with the work, and how, and like the labor theory of value, or something else.
Treatments available as well. Paxlovid is a pill-based treatment that can be taken at home, but early detection and treatment is key. It must be started within 5 days of the onset of symptoms, with a positive COVID-19 test result and assessment from a healthcare professional.
Because you are referring to like the hierarchical structures of the workplace and stuff like wage theft. What you do for that is like you start off with unionization and then work to implement or work to get rid of those hierarchical structures that steal all the workers' money, like fucking CEOs um and executives and fucking shareholders do all the time. There are like outside of that, like another like outside of unionization, which I think overall is beneficial to everyone. Um, the main ways that you deal with that is workplace democracy and um making your fucking workers part of a part of shareholders. You just make your fucking workers shareholders. Like it's not fucking hard, but that will never happen. That's really wishful thinking. Like even fucking unionization is wishful thinking. And why we have to have a minimum wage, which doesn't even fucking pay that much, to be honest.
We currently have a supply of about 16,000 courses of treatment on hand, with about 10,000 more expected to arrive in the coming days. As of April 18th, approximately 1,000 Paxlovid prescriptions have been dispensed, up from about 720 last week. All pharmacies in Alberta can now dispense Paxlovid if they choose to do so. We need to make sure that this treatment is used in accordance with the evidence and expert guidance, and people who may be eligible should call 811. If you receive a prescription for Paxlovid, please check the Alberta Blue Cross website to see which pharmacies in your area are dispensing it and work with your prescriber to have your prescription sent there. The online list is updated on a regular basis, so please check for any updates. Some pharmacies have had trouble accessing enough supply early on, but we've now enabled them to place larger orders with our central distributors to meet the growing demand. For more information, again, please visit the AHS website. We're still using a centralized system for accessing Paxlovid that's similar to most other provinces, including BC and Ontario. We continue to monitor experience in other jurisdictions. The access process was set up initially to manage a very limited supply. Like other provinces, we've just recently had a big increase. So going forward, if we can plan on a consistently higher supply, then we may be looking at increasing access as well as making changes to make the process easier. Now, we've come a long way, and we're going to keep moving forward, thanks to the hard work of our healthcare professionals and the willingness of millions of Albertans to roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated. So thanks again to all of our healthcare professionals. Continue to work day in and day out, and have done for the last 2 years, and are doing right now, particularly in Edmonton and Calgary, managing higher volumes. And with that, I'll now invite Dr. Hinshaw to the podium.
That seems like something that Dr. Hinshaw should have been talking about, not fucking Jason Kenney. Because, like, no one fucking trusts him in Alberta, so having him say this shit is not gonna get Albertans to trust whatever the fuck he's saying.
Thank you, Minister, and good afternoon, everyone. As the Minister mentioned, the numbers we were sharing are from the reporting period Tuesday, April 12th to Monday, April 18th. In those 7 days, our PCR test positivity ranged from 20.8% to 30.2%. As the Minister mentioned, there are currently 1,126 people with COVID-19 in hospital, including 43 in the ICU. Sadly, between April 12th and April 18th, an average of 7 deaths per day related to COVID-19 were reported to Alberta Health. These losses and others that have happened due to any cause.
I wonder what happened that weekend. In between that time frame. During that weekend, what happened? I wonder.
Leave holes in our families, friend circles, and communities. And my sympathies are with anyone who has lost a loved one. As transmission continues with BA2, we have seen more breakthrough infections in those with a full vaccine series. Given that, I know there are questions about the importance of vaccines right now, and I want to remind Albertans of what the data shows us. When we look at the difference in the risk of severe outcomes by vaccination status, it is very clear that vaccines are critically important in lowering the risk for hospitalizations and deaths. If we look at everyone in Alberta age 5 and up, in the last 4 months, those who were not vaccinated were more than 3 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID-19 and almost 8 times more likely to be admitted to ICU than those who had 3 doses of vaccine.
I wonder why that is. Like, remember when remember when you got like just your 2 jabs last year and and you were fine? Like, you didn't have to worry about going out and catching COVID and everything. Like, incentive for like me to take off a mask was more than enough. Like, I was gonna be getting my shots either way, but like incentive to like take off a mask during the summer, like that was fucking awesome. Like, I didn't have to feel so hot. And now since we have a bunch of dumbasses, or we had a bunch of dumbasses in Ontario in February, you know, Alberta to Ontario is facing like a lot of fucking not good outcomes in that regard.
For those age 80 and older, in whom the risk of severe outcomes is highest, those who were not vaccinated were more than 4 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID in the last 4 months, and almost 6 times more likely to die from COVID than those who had 3 doses of vaccine. It has always been true that most people who get COVID do not need hospital care, and especially with high 2-dose coverage, at this point, the initial infection will be mild for most people. Some individuals may not even notice their symptoms until a couple of days have passed owing to spring and allergy season. Many may be tempted to shrug off these mild symptoms and continue to go about their daily business, to work, to run errands, to take part in regular activities. However, it's important to remember that doing this can have serious consequences for others around you. The rules for isolation in our province remain the same. If you test positive or have symptoms of COVID-19, you are required to isolate at home and away from others. For those who have 2 or more doses of vaccine, this is for a minimum of 5 days or until symptoms resolve, whichever is longer. For those with 1 or no doses of vaccine, the requirement is for 10 days or until symptoms resolve.
Holy shit.
If you feel
I was just looking at fucking vaccination rates. Fuck, man. China's at 88%. Jesus Christ. That's fucking crazy, man. And there's America. And that they're special. Fuck, man. China is destroying us in like every single metric. Jesus.
sick, even if you test negative, please stay home and away from others until you are feeling better. This means not going to work, school, or any other activities outside the home. In addition to staying home when sick, it's also important to remember that there are still precautions in place in settings where those with high risk factors are present. Masking is required in continuing care and acute care, as well as on public transit. If you visit your doctor's office or another healthcare service, be prepared to wear a mask to protect those around you and make healthcare settings safe spaces for everyone. This transition period is allowing space for all of us to adjust, both back to a somewhat more normal life and also adapting to the new considerations that each one of us must take into account. Each person's balance of risks and benefits is different, and the many decisions each of us have to make every day are also informed by what the transmission risk is in our communities. It can be helpful to check the weekly data updates looking at wastewater trends and geographic distribution of cases to get information on what your local exposure risk is like. You can also consider how many people you will be around and what their exposure risks might be as a guide to the kinds of precautions you might take, such as masking or distancing. It's also important to remember that all of us face many risks every day, and COVID is one risk among these many. We have focused on it primarily for a long time, and yet now our context is different. It's important to remember this also as we try to balance the competing considerations in our lives.
Is it really that fucking different, though? Because I mean, yeah, sure, like some young guy will be okay, but like, what about fucking grandma? Do you think she's not gonna be fucking afraid of this? Of course.
Please be patient with others and with yourself as we all navigate through this time and continue to do what we can to keep all of us safe and healthy. Thank you, and we're happy to take questions.
Thanks, Dr. Hinshaw and Minister Copping. No one here in the room with us, so we'll go to the phone, and I think we'll have time for 3 callers, so we'll take the first right now, please.
Only 3, bro. Manitoba does better than that.
This question is for the health minister. For basically the last month, we've noticed reports online of Alberta doctors, mostly ER doctors, kind of taking turns painting ugly pictures of emergency rooms in the province. I know you've acknowledged the situation yourself at that podium. Last week there was a code orange situation at the University of Alberta Hospital, one patient waiting upwards of 20 hours. AHS says the current situation is being made worse by a significant number of high acuity patients, including COVID patients. And then another local doctor reported about a rough night at RAH last night. So I'm just wondering, why do you think the current situation in ERs is worse than usual?
What am I eating? Cottage cheese and chips. My supper.
Well, thanks for the question.
And by chips, I mean Ripple chips. And it's really good. If you haven't had it, you should 100% try it.
And we've spoken with a number of doctors as well. We have certain areas of the province and in certain hospitals, so like the U of A, we have higher than normal, 100%, over 100% capacity in terms of the emergency rooms. So we're conscious of that. We know that as overall as a system, we're not at that level. So it depends on the location. Some of that's being driven by COVID, and some of that's driven by the care deficit that we've had. So we've had individuals who have over the course of COVID not seen their family physicians as frequently as they may have normally would, given concerns with COVID. Therefore, the acuity of the illness that they're facing has gone up, and then now they're coming into the emergency departments. So one of the things that we are doing with our budget is working to expand capacity within our hospital systems overall. In terms of we've done that with the ICU, $100 million and specific to that, and we've also asked that if we don't need those dollars for the ICU to be able to use the resources elsewhere and build capacity within the system. So we're recognizing that this is an issue.
Well, shouldn't you be expanding the ICU ward anyways? Because, like, you have nothing to lose for it. I mean, yeah, sure, you may have a couple beds that go unused or whatever, but that doesn't matter. Because if we face another pandemic within our lifetime, which very well could happen, due to shit like CAFOs existing and being a very good place for virus to, yeah, it would make things easier as well. But, CAFOs being like a very great place for our next pandemic to start. Because, like, it's all, like, one species, and they're traveling all around the world, and showing up in places. So, the fact that a CAFO hasn't created a pandemic yet is very surprising to me. Like, I thought for sure we would have you'd have one at this point because it just breeds just a breeding ground for very dangerous viruses. And like it also doesn't really help though because a lot of those like a vast majority of that livestock is fed antibiotics regularly. So there's a chance that it will be a super bug, and that's going to be fun to deal with.
We'll work through that as we learn to live with COVID and through what the current BA2 wave, and then continue to build capacity so that we can, quite frankly, normalize. And not saying it's ever going to be normal, but we shouldn't have.
Bro, my man says he's going to be expanding ICUs just to normalize fucking COVID. What the fuck, man? That's fucking crazy.
Have to be over 100% on regular times a year, and the only other context I would provide is that we are dealing with COVID right now, but also we flu seasons, we've had to deal with this in the past, not as severe and not as high as levels, but we need to actually invest into our healthcare system, which we are doing, so that we don't have people doing a high dive to provide services all the time. But this takes time, so we have budgeted for this year and the next few years to be able to do that as we recruit and train more staff.
Thanks, Minister. Dan, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, sorry. How much do you feel, community supports outside the hospital should be part of that expansion that you're talking about?
So when we talk about expansion, it's not only within the hospitals per se. So it's not only acute care. It is also, we've additional funding has been allocated to EMS, but also we've additional funding, into home care, community care, and continuing care, because as there is a pipeline for some individuals who are going to acute care and then moving to continuing care, and we need to be able to have the spaces available. So we're investing in all aspects of our healthcare system. So that plays in a very, very important part, as does primary care. To the extent that we can increase our ability to provide primary care, then we can address the acuity issues, and we have the percentage of the people who are more acute, have higher levels of acuity, and then now present themselves to the emergency department will go down. But that's going to take some time, and quite frankly, we're going to have to work through the backlog.
You want to know how to decrease people going to the emergency? Universal healthcare is a big part of it, but also like properly funding it as well, and actually listening to what the doctors and medical providers need, and not just like saying you're gonna fund it more, but you never end up doing, or like it's not adequate enough. Because like maybe they'll be able to get like a new ventilator or something.
COVID is presented for us.
Thanks, Minister. We'll move to the next caller, please.
Allison McKinnon, CTV.
Hi there. When talking about third doses, Alberta is actually ranked last in all of Canada at 46%.
I knew it. I fucking called it. I knew that Alberta was the fucking last.
If the province has any plans to kind of do a big push to get people that third dose, like they did when we were talking about getting ready for the Stampede.
So the short answer is yes. We are working on a campaign to increase our third.
That does not surprise me. I mean, yeah, like, of course Alberta is fucking last because their premier is dog shit. They've had a really dog shit response to COVID in general. And then, like, right behind Alberta is the rest of the fucking prairie provinces. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think after Alberta, it's probably Manitoba, then Saskatchewan, then Ontario. Well, maybe Ontario. Because they do have a fairly big metro area, which is very, very liberal, so maybe.
Doses. One of the things, and Dr. Hinshaw might be able to comment on this more. But one of the issues that we're also dealing with is that there's a large proportion of the population who got BA1. And then the advice from the National Advisory Committee is that you sort of wait 90 days until then you get you another shot. Well, we're almost at that point now, so you'll be seeing in the coming weeks a campaign to ask people to get their shots and their third dose, because it's going to be important to protect against severe outcomes. I made my comments today, and I know Dr. Hinshaw also made her comments today in terms of doing that, and you'll see a broader campaign coming in a couple of weeks. And Dr. Hinshaw, if you want to comment any further on that.
I would just again emphasize the importance of that third dose, as well as the impact. Certainly there's been some work done with focus groups to understand what people are thinking about third doses, and that's something that we've certainly heard is people who did have an infection in the
You should be promoting fourth doses, not fucking third doses. Like, third doses, like, it's come and gone. Like, you should already be fucking triple dosed up.
fifth wave who are waiting for that 3-month time period. So that's one factor. And again, just would emphasize how much of a difference that third dose makes and how important it is for anyone who's 18 or older to access the protection that third dose provides.
Thanks, Dr. Hinshaw. Follow-up, Allison?
Yes, with having to wait those 3 months or 90 days, is there a risk of these shots expiring, and when will we see all Albertans eligible for that fourth dose?
My understanding of the expiry dates is that the product we have is not due to expire in the short term. That's something that we could certainly follow up on and get that information, but I don't believe that that's a risk in the near term. With respect to the fourth dose, it's important to remember that vaccines, just like antibiotics or any other therapy that's used, are important to use in the right population at the right time to get the maximum benefit. And so we are working with the National Advisory Committee on Immunization and our own Alberta Advisory Committee to understand what populations benefit the most from additional doses. And at this point in time, again, the protection from severe outcomes that 3 doses offers is important for those who are 18 to 69, those who are 70 and
Nice.
up. That fourth dose provides a benefit. But it's really important that we are using vaccines, again, like any other medication, in the way that provides the most benefit to the people who receive them. And so the question of when additional populations may be eligible, again, that's something that we're constantly looking at the evidence and reviewing what is coming forward, and that recommendations are made based on best available evidence at that time.
Thanks, Dr. Hinshaw. We were hoping to wrap up by 4, so we'll take one last call, please.
Emily Murch, Global News.
Thanks for taking my question. This is for Dr. Hinshaw. I'm just wondering what Alberta is seeing in terms of reinfection or breakthrough infections. How often are people catching the virus a second or third time? And is it usually with a different variant?
I mean, of course it's with a different variant, though. Like, not saying it's not a different variant every time is be ridiculous. Because, like, catch, say, Delta, for example, and then you could catch Omicron B1, then you can catch Omicron B2. The vaccines that we have, which I kind of initially feared would be the case, was that it would provide protection from, like, Delta, like maybe some variants onwards, and then like everything beforehand. But once there was a strain that would make our vaccines less effective, they're just gonna keep fucking pushing it, even though like it does help a little. Like, it does help, prevent like serious health risks. But at this point, like, we're gonna reach a point where it looks completely different than what it initially did in 2020, and it's not going to be effective anymore. So they're going to have to create a new one, and then they're going to have to restart a new vaccination campaign and everything.
We don't have, of course, specific information because we know that many people at this point in time are testing with rapid tests. So we wouldn't know about those individuals in the data that we're collecting. So the PCR testing that we're doing right now is really focused on those who are individually at high risk or those who work in high risk settings. So we would only be capturing a subset of those who might be having additional infections. The data that we have does indicate that there have been reinfections. Certainly we saw with the initial Omicron wave in late December and January that there was more breakthrough infection with that. I don't have current data with respect to breakthrough with respect to those who may have had a BA1 and now have BA2. But we do know that other jurisdictions have reported breakthrough infections, even in people who, again, had infection within the previous several months. So we know it's possible. The bottom line is that there's also influenza circulating as well as COVID. There's multiple respiratory viruses. And so it's really important if someone is feeling sick that they stay home and away from others, because whether it's COVID or whether it's influenza or something else, even if the individual who's feeling ill may not have risk factors, they could pass it on to someone for whom it could be very serious. So again, that's why I want to emphasize the importance of staying home when sick, no matter what the cause is.
But like, influenza season is almost done though. So you can't always be pushing it off on influenza. I mean, yeah, sure, influenza does play a part in in those cases, but like, it ultimately doesn't matter because once influenza season is over, like, COVID's still going to be around. Like, at this point, like, I'm kind of surprised that she's still saying that, you know, influenza is still a big problem right now. Which, I mean, it very well could be, but I have my suspicions that it's not the case, though.
Thanks, Dr. Hinshaw. Emily, follow-up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, since so much of this information is sort of offline because people are doing the rapid testing, is there anything?
We already have a vaccine for influenza, don't we? I mean, the thing with influenza is that it's a different, it's like, what's the best way I could put this? It's a different, you have different strains of coronaviruses that cause influenza, and they have to try and make their best prediction to see what's going to be out that season. So, like, one year could be these two strains, and the next year could be these three stuff. That's why there's so many varying levels on the efficacy of the influenza vaccines.
In the works, or was there anything discussed about asking people to log their rapid test results or their experiences with long COVID, for instance, on a website or something like that, just so Alberta could have an understanding when we move from PCR to rapid tests like other jurisdictions have done?
When we did a scan across the country, it seemed that most of the colleague provinces who had a reporting system weren't using that as a part of their overall data system. So typically it was a way for somebody to track their test. We do have a form available on our website people can use to download and document a positive rapid test result for their own personal needs that they can choose to disclose to others, again, for their own immediate health needs. So that is available on our website. And again, there would be multiple challenges with using rapid test results as part of the data stream. So that isn't something we're looking at this time, again, consistent with other provinces. With respect to long COVID, there is a survey underway that my understanding is that Alberta Health Services has been working on this to try to understand the prevalence of long COVID, the experience of people who have that.
Talk to the other guy in
and
here.
Of course, that is something that we need to continue to work on documenting. So someone who may not have had a PCR test can still, of course, have an experience with long COVID. and they will be able to access the care that they need for those symptoms, whether or not a PCR test was done at the very beginning of the illness. So again, that PCR test presence or absence will not stop someone from getting the treatment that they need for whatever symptoms they may be experiencing.
Thanks, Dr. Hinshaw and Minister. So we'll wrap there and see you here again next week. Thanks very much.
So, Justin Trudeau is putting sanctions on Putin's daughters and other 12 Russian associates. So let's see what kind of sanctions he's going to be imposing.
Actions to respond to Putin's terrible, illegal invasion. Today, Canada is imposing 14 new restrictions on 14 close associates of the Russian regime, including Vladimir Putin's 2 adult daughters, as well as oligarchs and their family members. This Russian regime...
Bro, we should be doing that here, too. Like, we should be imposing fucking sanctions on our oligarchs, too, my guy. Don't fucking matter because you're a dumbass liberal.
And its associates need to continue to be held accountable for their actions. We know, and unfortunately, even as Russia has pulled back from Kyiv, it is intensifying its attacks on the Donbass. Ukrainians have fought like heroes over the past number of months, and they're not just fighting for Ukraine. They're fighting for the values that underpin so many of our free democratic societies, which is why the world needs to continue to step up, why Canada is continuing to stand with Ukraine, to stand against Russia, but also ensure that this conflict doesn't escalate to elsewhere.
Bro, you care less than fucking Boris Johnson does. Like, Boris Johnson literally fucking went to Kyiv and did shit there. It was the funniest thing. Like, oh, oi, bruv, we're here just to show our support and everything. Like, we would never fucking do that. And the fact that, you know, Boris Johnson did it, of all people, just makes things even better.
So our support for Ukraine has been financial, in that we continue to clear up billions of dollars in funds to help Ukraine continue to operate, while at the same time supporting them. We've stepped up with military aid, both non-lethal and lethal, and of course we're there with humanitarian aid. Over the past weeks, we've been in close contact with President Zelensky since the very beginning, and we're very responsive to what it is that they need most specifically. Their most recent request from Canada is to help them with heavy artillery, because that's what the phase of the war is in right now, and Canada will be sending heavy artillery to Ukraine, with more details to come in the coming days. But we will continue to stand with Ukraine and stand for the values that underpin all of our free societies.
I hate him so much. He's so fucking... All that he is just a fucking pretty boy. That's all he is. Alright, let's move on to Channel 5 in Ukraine. Hope there's no TOS. I should...
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. I'm not at home. I came from Kyiv. I really want to go home, but I think it won't be safe for my daughter, so we will stay somewhere here and just wait.
What do you miss most about home?
My ordinary life, you know, just to drink some coffee in my favorite cafe and to bring my daughter to the kindergarten, just normal stuff. It will never be the same as it was. Every time the siren is here, I just tell her that it's fireworks.
Oh yeah, so the sirens, for those of you who don't know, usually are for missile strikes and shit, so they hear this probably like constantly, non-stop. So what they have to do is they have to go to like a bunker or something.
So we need to hide because she's like 5 years old, and I don't want for her to have a trauma.
Just fireworks.
Yeah, just fireworks, loud fireworks.
Yeah.
We never know in what time Russia will send missiles or rockets to our territory. Air attack could be launched on Lviv. So now we need to go to find the nearest shelter just to hide.
We're going to a shelter now in the press building. That was genuinely pretty fucking terrifying.
Each time it's really scary, especially at the night. Then you walk.
Like, could you imagine having to live with this for, like, what is it, like, half a year at this point, and, like, still not being fucking used to it? Like, that's just crazy to me.
And try to chill and sleep.
It is a special time for me, for my city, for my country. Last month, 3 times Russia aggressor attack city Lviv.
Officials in the western Ukrainian city of Lviv say Russian missile strikes hit a fuel storage facility on the outskirts of the city.
We could see dark plumes of smoke rising into the sky.
For me, Putin equal Hitler, a Russian aggressor, attack Ukrainian.
I mean, like, I could see that, though. Like, imagine how many fucking countries and people see, like, I don't know, like, say fucking Barack Obama or Donald Trump as, like, equal to Hitler. Like, there's gotta be, like, a pretty big majority of people that actually do that, right?
Cities every day.
Global outrage grew today as more horrific revelations surfaced from Bucha, Ukraine.
I want to warn you that the images we are about to show you, and even the descriptions of them, are graphic, disturbing, but they are the devastating reality of Putin's war on the people of Ukraine. The town's mayor saying at least 20 innocent civilians were shot in the back of the head, and that several hundred civilians are buried in the once peaceful commuter town's mass grave.
Basically, a load of the Russian troops that are around, like Kiev Oblast, the region on the front lines there, they've pulled.
There was TOS, so I wanted to do that. I should probably set up that transition, though. I completely forgot. Like, I thought it was all good and everything.
Back for the first time, a lot of the Ukrainian troops have like properly moved in there to see like what's happened, and they're just finding like mass graves, over 400
dude, come on.
Probably civilians, you know, old people, young people. They're finding loads of images of people with their hands tied behind their back.
Stop! Jesus.
Back, dead in the street. It's like it's probably an execution, right? So it's looking like there was a massacre.
All world must isolate.
Jeez, Andrew, come on.
Russia next 50 years. Russia, it is Nazi country.
Headshot. I mean, yeah, it's crazy. Like, if you were on like the fucking defensive from like an unjustifiable war, and you know saw this shit, of course you think that like it's the same fucking mentality that like a lot of radical places in like the Middle East or in South America, for example. It's the same shit that they see the Western world under, right? Like, especially the States, because the US is like always fucking starts this shit, and like the one time when they don't, like, it's just fucking crazy to me.
Українці, розстрілюємо Путіна! Не сором промахнутися! Сором не стрельнути! Слава Україні! Слава Україні! Героям слава! Сюди, оцей. Супер. 20% цього прибутку йде на фонд «Повертайся живим». Так, якщо маєте можливість, можете на фонд повертатися живим, скинути любу, бо тут нема праці. Можете опозоритись.
How did it feel to do that?
Трошки на душі стало легше. Я надію, кількість цих куль переросте в настоящі, і ми її побачимо в мавзолеї або десь закопаною під бетоном. На даний момент ми займаємося гуманітарною допомогою. Якщо мене армія призве, звичайно, я готовий. Ми гуманітарно допомагаємо, там фонд часів «Повернись живим», також перераховуємо кошти.
I guess for a lot of people, they can't be on the front or whatever, but this is their way of donating, this is their way of helping. Everyone is doing something. It's really interesting to see. It's like a community effort, across the whole country.
So it was my place where I usually walked after Russia invaded Ukraine. This place closed for climbing, but it opened for taking refugees here. We are still helping them each day.
Ще хочеш?
Do you want some question for him?
Yeah, sure. What's your name?
Як тебе звати?
Київ.
Do you like to climb?
Покуси, потом уехали и сюда приехали.
What's your favorite animal?
Mason.
Mason?
Mason.
So he have a cat called Mason.
Is that Mason? Mason.
Yo, fucking parents brought Mason with them. Oh, what heroes, man! Like these are some of the people heroes that you fucking see in grim times. Like
Mason. All right. Mason's a little bit camera shy. What do you want to be when you grow up?
А потом полицейским. Я хотел маме купить машину, когда вырасту.
He want to buy a car for his mother and to himself.
Взрыв будет, и я буду сам ехать.
I mean, most people and just want to do that. Like they want to have a good life for their kids, and they want to have a good life for their parents as well, right? And like it's sad that most people can't do that, even though like a vast majority of people want that to happen.
Вот Ольга, мы приехали из города Бахмут, Донецкой области. Мы с вечера собрались и уже до крайней точки Львов. Остаться в ближайшее время, а дальше посмотрим, будет видно как.
Would you prefer to return home or would you like to immigrate into a different country?
Хотелось бы вернуться домой. Естественно, мы скучаем по дому. Как развернутся все эти события, и будет ли дома, будет ли куда возвращаться, и если действительно будут какие-то сложные ситуации в плане возврата домой.
Of course, people want to go home in the time of war. Like, why wouldn't they? Right? Like, it's where they live. And, like, having, different fucking place to sleep and, like, immigrating somewhere else won't necessarily, like, feel that fulfilling because you could face, like, a lot of fucking harassment or racism or bunch of other dog shit to justify this kind of shit.
Какое-то время было спокойно в городе, потом какой-то день в центр города прилетело сразу несколько ракет. Мне стало страшно за ребенка, за себя, семью, и мы приняли решение выехать.
How do you explain what's going on to your son?
Когда это было далеко от нас, и комендантский час, и так далее, он видел в городе военных и военную технику. Он задавал вопросы, почему они здесь, не внедрялась в подробности, не вникала.
Do you like staying here?
Мне тут нравится, я тут только на канате таком, на мате, бегал, прыгал.
Good in this situation.
Well, I'm glad you were able to bring Mason with you.
Обязательно в любом случае мы бы не оставили его дома без присмотра. Он полноценный член нашей.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna say it. At this point, like, we should just have fucking, veterinarian healthcare fucking free too. Why not? People see their pets as family too, so why shouldn't, their fucking pets get treated properly too, right?
Семьи.
I think we're out of TOS
Out
territory.
of the more than 4 million people who fled Ukraine, over 2.3 million are now in Poland.
14.
Yeah, 14. I came of Kryvyi Rih, it's the center of Ukraine. My little brother and my aunt came to Peremyshel with me, and I like very scared because my dad is in Kryvyi Rih. Yeah, it's scary situation, very scary situation.
What do you miss most about home?
My friends, my 4 best friends in Hungary, in Slovenia, in Ireland, and I haven't connect with them.
If you had to pick one friend that you wished you were with right now, which friend would it be?
I think like Dima. In my school, he sit back for me. He's quite funny, and he's like he can smile me all of them. I want to hear his jokes of teachers, and like I want to usual life.
Yeah, I mean, like, I imagine that most people back to their original lives and time of fucking war and shit. Yeah, I mean, like, we all probably had fucking jokes about our teachers and shit. Like, come on, we all did that, man. Even I'm guilty of that too.
Декілька днів тому приходило по 6 потягів, і можна легко порахувати, що кожний потяг вміщував по 2-3 тисячі осіб.
What do you think is the biggest challenge that refugees face whenever they get from Ukraine to Poland?
Така, що люди приїжджають в чужу державу і не можуть зорієнтуватися. Ну, кожен боїться за своє життя, за своїх дітей. Дуже дивно те, що, наприклад, українці в Російській Федерації живе коло більше 5 мільйонів осіб всебічного освітлення цієї війни, і тому рахують, що російська армія робить правильно.
In Russia, Vladimir Putin's approval rating is soaring despite his disastrous invasion of Ukraine.
It's now above 80%.
Киев никто не бомбит, я этому не верю.
I don't actually believe that. Like, I honestly actually don't believe that. Mostly because, you know, it's coming from Western sources, and Western sources are generally fairly off when it comes to, like, international affairs and everything, so I don't believe.
Путин такого не мог сделать. Напасть на Украину, тем более.
Every day, Russian state television accuses the West of fake news over Ukraine.
Это Зеленский все делает. Американцы.
Я за Путина. Я хочу вам показать несколько... Я за Путина. Я поняла. Даже не буду смотреть фотографии.
One of their claims is that the bodies in these photos lying on the ground, these apparently dead bodies, were placed there by Ukrainian.
Bro, that's fucking nuts. Like, that's so fucking nuts.
Radicals, as they're called, or Nazis.
So I think I've seen this before. What is this flyer right here?
Oh yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think this flyer might
Or
be
Nazis.
where is it?
So
I think this flyer is like probably like Azov Battalion shit or something like that. That's my best guess.
I've seen this before. What is this flyer right here?
So AFOB Azov Battalion is neo-fascist battalion here
Bro, I literally fucking called it. I literally called it.
in Ukraine. They've been going since the start of the revolution, so 2014.
The group was known to have.
Yeah, so a lot of fucking like fascists and like Nazis and like fucking even like fucking leftists are fucking having to work together in order to fucking stop Russia's invasion, because like if there's no fucking like country left for them, like of course they're gonna like they're like more of like the aesthetic things is not gonna matter.
Have ties to neo-Nazi movements, and its leader was even quoted once as saying Ukraine's purpose was to, quote, lead the white races of the world.
To Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Come on, bro. The fuck?
Putin, their far-right politics, a justification to claim that Ukraine needs to be denazified.
Not to say that they're not there, they're fighting right now in Mariupol, you know, they've been...
Yeah, and like, yes, they are there, but like, it's the same fucking thing like that we have too. Like, we have our own fucking Nazis and shit too, and then like, whenever we like, we don't do shit about our fucking Nazis, right? And like, you know, of course that they're gonna be in like fucking Ukraine as well, but like most Ukrainians don't even fucking support the Azov battalion. Like the I think that they like the Azov battalion only got like not even 1% of the vote or something like that, right?
Basically defending that city along with the Ukraine Marines, but they make out like that's everybody and everybody believes in it sort of thing. There's a real problem where people either like just deny it exists or they emphasize on it too much, and really they don't have much influence like politically. So you know,
And like the irony in that though is that Russia has a bigger Nazi fucking problem than Ukraine does. Like it's crazy.
Russia is saying they're a Nazi junta. It's like, well, then they're the worst one that ever happened, because Zelensky, who was a Jew, some of his family died in the Holocaust under the Nazis, he got 73% of the vote in a country of 44 million. I think what you have to do is look at Russia. So Russia has a much more serious Nazi problem. And there's a lot of evidence that they're connected to the FSB, Russian internal intelligence services. So they have a problem. Siren.
Yeah. Should we go to a shelter or something?
Yeah, we should probably go to a shelter, yeah.
Fucking crazy, man.
If we want to get a look
time.
at the other side of things that isn't reported as much, we could go and talk to the anarchists. They're doing aid. They're taking stuff all over Ukraine.
What? Anarchists actually do something useful? Oh, man. And I kid. Even though I don't agree all the time. Still doing some good stuff, but, you know, going after fucking son or some shit, like, okay.
They're not making a big noise about it, but they're doing it not just to anarchist groups, to any soldiers that need it, you know, so that's another part of this thing.
Before the war, I worked as
Wait, what did that say? Anarchist run aid and give Operation Solidarity. I mean, yeah, that seems like something that anarchists would make.
Before the war, I worked as a tour guide in a history museum. 10-20 kilometers from Bucha, Irpin areas, I used to cycle in that areas a lot. It's fucked up. If Russians occupy it, they will kill off every politically active person, no matter of his political views. The side which really needs denazifying right now, in my opinion, is Russia.
Why are, Nazis fighting with leftists on the front lines?
If the fight is lost, there will be no one left. No right wing, left wing, it will be eradicated.
He's right.
Ну і власне в них достатньо ресурсів для того, щоб розповсюджувати цю фейкову інформацію на весь світ, і в тому числі є багато західних медіа, які прислуховуються до Росії.
The Kremlin views Tucker Carlson's commentary as quote essential in its war.
Oh no, fucking Tucker. Fucking Tucker's commentary. Oh, bro, I can't fucking wait to hear this.
Time messaging strategy. That is according to a leaked 12-page memo from a Russian government agency to the Russian media.
What is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Did he manufacture a worldwide pandemic that wrecked my business and kept me indoors for 2 years? Is he trying to snuff out Christianity? Does he eat dogs? Is he making fentanyl? These are fair questions, and the answer to all...
How do you go from that to eating fucking dogs? What the fuck? Oh, fucking American news is fucking interesting, man. It's crazy.
All of them is no. Vladimir Putin didn't do any of that.
Putin is doing the right thing. He's taken out the Syrian mafia.
No.
It's not an invasion. They can easily fake a war.
Ну це просто весело, це типу як...
Oh no. Fuck, I love American hogs so much. American hogs are fucking awesome. They're just wild and unhinged. Like, it's crazy.
Будь-які інші фейк-ньюс.
So what are the most important items that you need right now?
Helmets and bulletproof vests, certain kinds of medicine.
Потім речі, які дозволяють там не замерзнути, типу спальників, одягу, карематів і так далі. Теж те, що може знадобитися як цивільним, так і на фронті.
If you're able to, you should definitely give them help. I would, but I'm not able to. It's fucking crazy. Yo, a new video from Noah? Oh, we have to watch that. We'll watch some Noah videos. Alright, let's move on to one of Japan's largest problems.
I will introduce 3 ways that people can protect themselves from being a victim of Chican. Again, for those of you who are willing to come to Japan someday, this is surely going to be the most important part of this video. 皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Let's Ask Shogo. You might have an image that Japan is a very safe country with hardly any crimes. But if you take a closer look, the reality might be a little different. One of the things that is especially frightening is the molestation on trains, called Chican in Japanese, which is often brought up.
Yeah, and it's like really fucking bad in Japan. Like, it's crazy bad.
As a social problem. It is said that Japan has the most number of Chican incidents in the whole world. However, to be completely honest with you, it never occurred to me to talk about this until I received a request for a video about this topic. In order to make this video, I did quite a lot of studying. And now I am very serious that I want to share with you what I've learned and want everyone to be able to protect themselves from these crimes.
Yeah, like it's really fucking bad, man. Like it got so bad that the Japanese government literally had to make fucking separate cars for the sexes, right? As well as, you know, having facial recognition for fucking train cars, because that's how big the problem is there. Like, it's crazy.
So today, I will talk about the current situation of Chican molestation on trains in Japan, and also why there are so many incidents. Also, at the end of the video, I'll explain 3 things you can do to protect yourselves from these criminals. So if you're hoping to come to Japan someday in the future, please be sure to watch this video till the end. It would also be great if you can share in the comments about what your thoughts are on how to prevent or lessen these terrible crimes. And even if you get confused somewhere during the middle, that's okay. I will summarize everything at the end of the video in today's conclusion. それでは本日も参りましょう。First of all, let's talk about the definition of Chican in Japan and what the current situation of molestation on trains is like.
Yeah, so like, for context, if you've like ever watched any hentai or anything, there's a very good chance that you've seen Chican in that, so you're sort of aware. Like even like some anime, like you are aware of it as well. Like if you watch some anime, like you know it exists. But like, yeah, no, it's very fucking problematic. It's crazy.
Like, originally the word Chican referred to any kind of sexual crime. However, when we use this word today, it automatically has a nuance of the act of molestation on trains or the molesters in general. Unfortunately, how we deal with problems of Chican are all up to the local police of each city. So the definition is different everywhere. In this book, the author introduces the local rules in Niigata Prefecture and what's written in its article, because the definition is specified compared to other cities. The definition of molestation is indecent acts of coming into direct contact with the body or from over the clothes. The author points out that the ambiguous definitions and the fact that there are no integrated crackdown laws already represents how sloppy this severe problem is handled in Japan.
Like it's kind of crazy to me. Like, you think that they would have like a harsher crackdown when it comes to that. Like, I mean, I understand that I understand that the Japanese government has done some stuff to try and like marginally decrease it, like the separate train cars, for example, or the cameras for public transit. Like, I think that they just need to crack down harder on it. Like, it's really fucking bad.
Next, let's take a look at the number of incidents of Chican, according to the data presented by the police. However, this is actually not an easy task because many of these sexual violence cases are not reported to the police. According to a survey,
I mean, it's like the same thing when it comes to really anything. Like, it's the same thing as like rape here in Western societies. Like, a lot of rape isn't reported either. So, like, I imagine that Chican wouldn't really be reported as much either. Crazy.
Taken in 2010, about 90% of women who've experienced Chican within the past 1 year said that they did not report to the police. In 2017, the police presented data saying that the number of Chican incidents was 3,212.
Holy hell! Is that like for like a single year? Like, fuck, that's crazy high. 3212? Jesus. Like, I knew it was high. I didn't think it was going to be that high though.
Which means only about 10 cases happened every day. It would be great if this was true.
Only 10 cases, don't worry. Oh, that is fucking crazy though. 10 cases is the low end. Like, what? That's actually kind of disgusting, man.
But taking a look at the number of incidents of cars being stolen in the same year,
it's probably lower.
10,213.
Wait, really? That's okay. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. I thought for sure it would have been lower, but still, that is nuts.
3 times more people are having their car stolen than the number of victims of Chican. You can understand that's impossible. Because, for example, I asked 30 of my Japanese female friends whether or not they have experienced molestation in Japan before. And 28 people answered that they have experienced it at least once before in their lives. The reason
That's actually kind of sad. I'm just to be completely honest, that's really sad. Like that, I honestly think that should not be happening.
The reason why the number is so small is not just because the victims do not report to the police, but also because even if you go to the police, only the cases that meet the following conditions will be counted. 1. The victim filed a claim. 2. The molester is identified. 3. The investigation necessary for setting punishments was completed. It is believed that only about...
That's fucking insane, man. Like, I get it, like, there is only so much that they can do, but, like, fuck, dude, it's crazy.
1/3 of the victims who report to the police are actually included in the presented number of incidents. Please note, though, that I'm talking about the number of Chican incidents counted by the local anti-nuisance ordinance, and any other more severe crimes will be regarded as indecent assault, the national criminal law. Only 1/10 of the victims report to the police in the first place, and only 1/3 of the victims who do report are counted in the number of incidents.
That's fucking crazy to me. Like, only 1/3 of people who report of Chican are fucking calculated. That's insane to me. Like, are they? I have a feeling that they're just trying to downplay it a little bit. Like, there's no shot that they're not, right?
It's very frightening, but the actual number might be around 100,000 incidents a year. So the fact that managing the problems of Chican are left to each local police and laws, and the fact
They don't count all the counts of it. I mean, yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like, but it's the same thing with, like, say, rape over here as well, right? Like, so only like it happens more often than than the statistics show, because for whatever fucking reason we don't believe like women whenever they say, you know, they were fucking raped or molested or some shit. And then like it happens and they go to the police about it, and the police don't really do fuck all, even though that, you know, they're given like everything that they need. It's fucking crazy. Like 100,000? No. It was in 2010. He had said that the rate of Chican was, I think 3212, if I'm not mistaken. And in the same year for car robberies, it was it was over 10,000, which doesn't really makes too much sense considering how big of a problem Chican is in Japan. Like it's so bad that they made different cars for males and females, and I'm not too sure if it's recently or if it's been implemented for a while, but there was they have cameras in the train departments now to try and reduce it as well, to try and like reduce it and identify people who are acting in Chican.
Fact that the number of incidents are not accurate at all. We can understand that this problem is seen as just Chican. Many politicians and police officers do not realize how horrifying the experience of becoming a victim of Chican is. And how
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Like he asked 30 of his friends, like his female friends, if they've ever experienced Chican, and 28 out of 30 said that they've experienced it at least once, which is ridiculous. Like, no one should be having to put up with that shit.
how it can easily leave scars and traumas in people's hearts. This attitude of the leaders of this country might actually be the biggest problem. Next.
Yeah, it's just basically like a bunch of old fucking dudes being like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it, our population's on decline anyway, so, you know, like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, like, Japan has a population crisis, but, you know, doing this shit doesn't solve anything, right? Gotta be lifting some of the fucking burdens off of them, and, like, the fucking stress. Like, Japan is, like, known for having an overworked population. Like, it's fucking nuts.
Let's talk about why there are so many Chican incidents in Japan. However, I need to make it very clear that there are many different studies and theories, all by professionals, about how and why this problem happens and how to prevent it. I've read 2 of these books and more than 10 articles written by professionals, but their opinions often contradict with each other. So please understand that I'm just sharing with you some ideas, and this is not an absolute answer. Out of many factors, I would like to pick up 4 things that are most often introduced. 1. The overpacked trains. 2. The huge pornography industry. 3. Japan is a sexless country. 4. Women can't speak out.
I mean, number 4 is true. Like, in Japan, only recently are women starting to be able to, like, take positions of power or speak out or some shit like that. Like, I'm talking about, like, 2020, like, at the earliest. Like, I'm sure that it happened, like, beforehand as well. But, yeah, like, women have, like, no fucking say. And number 3, like, I could see that because, you know, like, they're overworked to fuck. You know, so they're having, like, a giant population crisis and everything. Even though, you know, they have just really, really good fucking social programs. Like, it's just fucking crazy. Because, like, the expectation that you're required to meet in, like, really any Asian country is absurdly high. Like, that's why there's so many suicides in Japan, for example. Like, it's because that a lot of people can't fucking deal with that pressure, and like, even if they do, like, it's just fucking crazy. And like, I honestly don't think the pornography industry is a problem. Like, most people know that, you know, it's a fucking it's a fantasy what they're like jerking off to. And I don't really think that the overpacked trains would really apply to that either, because I've been on overpacked public transit before, and nothing happens. So, or nothing happens to my knowledge. But like, it's kind of weird how like this is such a big problem in Japan, but like in other countries where, you know, they have better public transit than we do, like, it's not as big as a problem as there as it is in Japan.
1. The overpacked trains. The first reason is a very realistic one. Some data show that about half of all Chican incidents in Japan are happening in Tokyo because of the overpacked trains. You might have seen videos of the station staff literally pushing people into the train. On these trains, you will hardly be able to move your body. And one of my female friends told me she would often be floating from the floor. So even if someone was touching your body, you will not be able to identify who it is. And there is no way you can stop the criminal. Some doctors point out that committing Chican can become a kind of addiction, and the overpacked trains are one of the reasons why the criminals take the risk to commit their first crime.
Well, yeah, it's like, it kind of makes sense though, right? Because, you know, there's a lot of people in an area, and, you know, you don't know who's doing what, right? So it makes sense why they would do that. Like, I don't think it's right, not in the slightest, but like, that could totally be used as an excuse.
From there, just like a person gets more and more addicted to alcohol and cigarettes, it'll become more and more difficult to quit. Doctors point out that Japan needs to change its social system of everyone going to work at the same time in the morning in order to prevent this from happening. Maybe shifting from clinging on to our old business rules and taking in new systems like working from home or flexible working hours might be a good start.
Bro, fucking Japan is more progressive than fucking we are. It's crazy. Like, what? Like, that fucking awesome. Like, more flexible work hours, more being able to work from home. Is like people using the internet as a meth. I mean, yeah, like, it's the same thing, right? Like, you can have essentially whatever fucking alias you want to like spew like fucking racist shit or anything like that. Like, it's just fucking crazy. Like, you know, a lot of that shit is justified for like other reasons. Like, there are for like the instances of Chican that happen in Japan, it doesn't really justify, you know, having that shit.
However, although this could be one of the reasons, there are some people who point out that there are many other countries with similar situations of overpacked trains.
Yeah, and like I did mention this already, like, there are overpacked public transits, and there aren't nearly as many incidents of Chican or other shit that happens, like, say, in Europe with their trains, or here in Canada with like public buses. Like, we don't really have, like, I honestly don't think like it's a reason.
especially during morning rush hours. But it doesn't always mean that that country will have many incidents as Japan. So again, it's just one of the possible reasons and not an absolute one. 2. The huge pornography industry. Japan has a huge pornography industry.
Well, yeah, like they have the JVAs, the hentai. Like Japan has a really big porn industry. Like it's fucking nuts how big their porn industry is. But like honestly, like if like if you actually talk to like any sex workers or anything like that, they will tell you that's usually not or that's not a factor when it comes to molestation. Like the porn doesn't, you know, make people do that kind of shit. It just doesn't.
Which you may also know from the hentai culture. Out of the many genres of these stories in anime, manga, and videos, there are some that are about Chican too. It's very disgusting, but there are some men who believe these fiction settings to be true, and some seriously believe that women are enjoying the thrill too. However,
I mean, it's the same thing with like fucking rape, right? Like it's the same thing. Like like people say, oh, they're enjoying it, so what's the fucking problem? I don't see a problem with it, right? There is a difference between stuff like molestation porn. Absolutely, 100%. Because like even in like the porn industry, for example, like there are certain guidelines and checklists you have to follow. Because like I don't know if you know this or not, but when it comes to doing porn, you have to check like certain boxes on like what you're willing to do. Like let's say you're not gonna do anal, for example, and you know you end up fucking doing anal, that's considered, you know, rape, and then you know that you can face some very fucking harsh punishments for that. Chances are you probably won't be in any adult films anymore.
However, Japan, of course, is not the only country with a pornography industry. But why does Japan have especially more people who misunderstand fiction to reality? There are two reasons that are often discussed. 1. The inequality between men and women. 2. The lack of education at schools. As I've explained
I mean, we face the same problems here. Like men and women aren't equal here either. There's a lot of lack of information when it comes to sex and like sex ed, like, and the stuff that you know the Canadian government provides is very bare bones at best. Like, oh, like this is how a fucking condom works, and this is how pregnancy works. Instead of, you know, actually, you know, promoting safe sex and like investing more into it, right? Like, as well as, you know, you have a lot of fucking like, especially in like conservative areas of the country, you're going to have more cases of this kind of shit, right? Like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen in liberal areas either. Like, it 100% does. Let's be real. But like, it happens more in conservative areas due to, you know, a lack of proper sex ed, a lack of and like saying abstinence is like the only way, which no, it's fucking ridiculous. You're not gonna stop people from having sex. It's just not gonna happen. How would I fix the sex ed? I'm honestly not sure. I haven't really given it too much thought. But like, I think it should be mandatory that everyone takes it, and then like taking certain precautions and being like, this is what happens when you have sex. This is this is how pregnancies develop, this is the proper way to do abortion, here are the risks, here are the things. Like, what I honestly think we should be doing is, like, when it comes to sex ed, is we should be giving the students fucking condoms. Like, there's no reason not to, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female condom. Like, it doesn't matter when you give. Both effective the same amount of weight or the same way. But, like, it just doesn't fucking matter. Like, you're gonna, like, I'm sorry, but fucking teenagers are gonna have sex regardless, so it doesn't matter. Like, there are better people than me to ask how to fix the problem that we face for sex ed. Like, I think another way to do so is, like, a lot of schools preach abstinence only, which is not the way to go forward with it. So not having a fucking abstinence only teaching would, like, abstinence just flat out does not work. It does not work. It leads to higher rates of teenage pregnancies and fucking incest as well. So it clearly doesn't work.
In my past video, Japan is ranked 121 out of 156 countries around the world for gender equality.
Damn, that's
and there
low.
are many old beliefs that women are meant to provide service to men, which leads to the idea that they are a form of entertainment. Next, the lack of education about sex and sexual crimes at schools are believed to be the reason why many men misunderstand women. Since the end of World War II.
I mean, like, heaven forbid you actually fucking talk to the opposite gender about these issues and having, like, an open dialogue about it, right? Like, I don't tolerate that shit. Like, if someone's doing something like that, I don't fucking tolerate it. There's a lot of things I don't tolerate, and, like, inappropriate touching is one that I'm not very supportive of.
In order for the government to emphasize sexual ethics.
Most men still won't understand women in general. I mean, that's not true. I do. I understand. I used to be a complete shithead when it came to that. But no, you can 100% reform someone in order to understanding. So that's actually a lie. That's part of our fucking social constructs when we have when it comes to that. It's like the exact same thing of saying, like, oh, men and women can't be friends, right? No, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, I have plenty of female friends. I never no, I know what you said. But you are like sort of right on that assumption.
In a chaotic situation, they promoted the abstinence-only sex education and created the culture.
Bro, I fucking called it. I knew it was abstinence only. I knew it. I literally fucking called it.
Of talking about sex is a taboo. We are taught about the existence of sperms and egg cells and that they fertilize, but nothing about how it happens. And of course, hardly anything about contraceptive methods.
I mean, let's be real. It's the same problem here. Like, we still have the same fucking problems here. Like, we're taught about it. We're like, at most, we're taught about, like, how to put on, like, a contraceptive, and, like, that's it, and not, like, what actually fucking happens, right? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Or how to protect ourselves from sexual crimes either. Lack of knowledge or the misunderstanding about the other sex is believed to be one of the reasons why some people can't distinguish what's fiction and what's reality. 3. Japan is a sexless country. According to the data presented by Durex, only 34% of Japanese people answered that they have sex more than once per week, and only about 45 times a year on average. In
Bro,
2020,
that's crazy
it was
low.
presented that more than 51.9% of married couples have not had any sexual contact for more than a
That's fucking crazy. 51.9% of married couples in Japan have not had sex. That's crazy. I think a lot of people are afraid of talking about the opposite sex. I mean, 100%. Like, it, yeah, like, I honestly think that, you know, everyone just needs to just fucking grow a pair and, like, you know, actually talk to people and, like, see what their positions are, see what problems they face, what struggles they have, and, like, all that shit, right?
year. Many say that this is because of the longest average working hours in the world. Japanese people don't have the time and energy for sex.
And that's like one of the main reasons on why their birth rate has been declining as well. It's because like they're incredibly overworked. Like you're expected to put in like 14-hour days. Like they do have like their work day is 8 hours, but you're expected to put in like 14-hour days because gym is or well, not gym, fucking I don't know, use fucking Shiro's putting in fucking 14-hour days. Why can't you? Like it's fucking nuts.
However, this doesn't mean that the desire is gone. And with the combination of the two other reasons I've already explained, Japan especially has more Chican incidents compared to other countries. However, we need to keep in mind that although this is another theory supported by many people, there are doctors and scientists like the author of this book that state Chican and sexual desire do not have a strong connection.
I mean, they are right about that.
Earlier, many
What kind of pedestal do we put each other on that scares people so much? I mean, let's be real here, though. Women have all the fucking power in a straight cis relationship. Like it's 100%. That's 100% true. And when it comes to like, I think just in general, like asking people out, for example, or like talking to the opposite sex, like a lot of people are just like very afraid to do so. Like what's the fucking worst that they could say? Like if you ask someone out, like what they say no, oh big deal. They're gonna be sad for a little bit. Or, you know, like when you fucking have a conversation with someone, they just ask you to leave. I'm like, okay, then just leave. It's not hard. Most of it is due to social constructs, though. I think that plays a massive part in it. How much psychological warfare does one person have to go through just to ask a single question? I mean, like, it's intimidating, right? Like, I understand it, but, like, at the same time, like, I'm past the point where I'm, like, I fear rejection of, like, either having a conversation or asking someone out. Like, at this point, like, I don't even care. Like, all that, like, the more you do something, the better you get at it, right? So, like, of course, when you do something for the first time, you're going to be incredibly fucking nervous about it, right? But once you do it enough, you're going to be more confident when it comes to, like, I've been rejected many times, like, even when it comes to, like, relationships. Like, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not the end of the world. Sorry for bothering you. Like, it's... I think incels go through it the most, to be honest. Because, like, incels are just... They think that they're demanded, like, a woman in relationship. Like, it's so fucking annoying. I mean, yeah, 100%. You should be treating people like people. I mean, that's why I think that's, if I remember correctly, I think that's why I generally tended to have fucking relationships in high school. Like, yeah, I still was like a piece of shit, but I still like treated people with people, right? Like, I still have that mentality. Like, I treat people like treat people, and I don't give a shit with their fucking race, religion, sexual orientation, whatever the fuck. Like, I don't care. I'm just gonna treat people like people. Like, I understand that, you know, we're gonna have differences in opinions and all that shit, but like, I don't care. I think having a conversation with someone is more important than not, right?
People are addicted to the act from the feeling that they are doing something wrong and that they are in a superior position than the person you're committing the crime against. So in a way, you can say that the stress from overtime work could lead to more Chican, but for a different reason. 4. Woman can't speak out. This reason comes from the Japanese characteristic of not wanting to stand out from its groupism culture. If you'd like to learn more about this characteristic, you can take a look at my past videos. I could just line up the facts, but I think it'll be easier to imagine.
We're gonna have to watch some more of this guy. I'm really enjoying his content.
If I introduce a real-life experience shown in this book. I became a victim of Chican in a month of working as a police officer. When I was sitting on the seat next to the door, a man wearing a suit sat next to me and spread out his newspaper. I knew from the very first moment this was strange because the train was vacant and there was no reason for him to sit next to me. Hiding himself using the newspaper, he started to touch my body. My mind went completely blank from fear, and I couldn't move or think straight at all. I just hoped that someone would come up and stop this man, or at least realize that something was wrong. But it seemed that no one cared, and even those who glanced at me for 1 second, they would just look away on the second.
Bro, that's fucking crazy. He's going into enough detail to make what he's saying interesting. I mean, yeah, and like, but this is a very big problem. Like, Chican is a very big problem when you go to Japan. Like, it's well documented that it's, like, arguably their biggest problem. Like, it's Chican, and then Japan's overworking its citizens to, like, the point of death. It's... But yeah, I do trust what he's saying. Like, he seems to be well informed on the subject. Like, he did say at the start of the video that he had looked into it, like, pretty thoroughly. So yeah, like, yeah, no, if I was in this situation and I saw this shit happening, I'd be like, the fuck are you doing, my guy? Come on.
Finally, when I realized that the next station was where...
But I don't think that the guy would enjoy a fucking gaijin, you know, telling him off not to fucking interrupt him while he's fucking doing Chican. But, you know, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, bro, this is not fucking cool.
Where I had to get off, I was finally able to put myself together. I was able to summon the courage to say, please get off at the next station with me, to the man. He stood up without saying a word, and the moment the train got to the station and the doors opened, he ran away as fast as he could. I, of course, tried to chase him, but I was wearing my suit with a tight skirt and heels, and there was no way I could run as fast as that man. Luckily, my boss was riding the same train and he caught the criminal for me. But at that moment, I realized that everyone was staring at me, running and yelling the whole time, and I noticed my clothes were all messy too. I was terrified to think that I'd be riding the same train with these people from tomorrow on.
Yeah, and like that's the same problem when it comes to like fucking rape victims as well. Like it could happen. Like generally when like rape happens, it generally tends to be from someone you know. It there are instances where that isn't the case, but it generally tends to happen from people you know, right? And you know, whether it be like a fucking relative or a friend or a coworker or whatever, it's just gonna happen, right? So a lot of people are in the same have the fucking same problems with Chican as, you know, rape. It's like essentially this fucking same.
Afterwards, I was taken to a police office, and there I was asked many questions by my senpai male police officers about the incident to make a police report to arrest the molester. However, the questions included how specifically I was touched, where I was touched, with which finger, for how long.
Why the fuck does that matter though? Like, if someone's performing Chican on you and you don't want it, because I mean, who the fuck would? Like, why does that matter? Like, I don't understand that. Like, it's the same fucking thing, like, with like fucking rape and shit. Like, it's so fucking stupid. I'm like, what difference does it make? What difference does it make if he was like fucking touching my torso with a pinky finger or like finger blasting me? Like, what fucking difference does that make, right? Like, I didn't want to be touched, but he still fucking touched me, right?
An abstract like this with body language will not be considered proof, and I need to explain the whole horrifying experience in my own words to the male police officers there. The worst part of it was that I couldn't answer the questions. Why didn't you resist sooner? And why didn't you run? The answer was simply because
this just proves my case that all fucking cops are just dog shit. Like, regardless of where you go, all fucking cops are just dog shit.
I was too scared to do anything. It was the best I could do. However, not resisting immediately will be seen as the woman has agreed, accepted the act, and it will be a negative point on my side. Finally, the policeman asked me, "Would you like to sue this man?" At a moment there, I didn't understand what he meant. I was the victim, and I called the police because I needed help. But it seems that the final judgment of arresting him or not was somehow my decision, and I felt that everything that the man will be suffering and how his whole life would change are somehow because I made the decision. At this point, I was just too tired, and all I could say was, "No, it's okay." The next day,
That's fucking crazy. I would be like, you know what? Fuck it. Just throw him in jail, because, like, Japan has a very fucking harsh prison sentence, which is complete dog shit, which is like, essentially, instead of you're innocent until you're proven guilty, it's you're guilty until you're proven guilty. Like, the rate for incarceration in Japan, like, when you are fucking arrested and have a court case, there's a very good chance you're going to jail. Like, regardless, especially if you're Gaijin. Like, if you're Gaijin, that's like automatically 100%. Like, it doesn't matter. And then, like, for native Japanese people, if I'm not mistaken, I think my friend said it was, I want to say like 98%. Like, it's fucking nuts.
I found out that my rumors have spread throughout the whole police office I was working at, and from there I will be called the Chican policewoman for years.
That's fucking disgusting.
This story is just one example, but you can understand that there are some fundamental problems. Why it's so difficult for women to speak up about what they've suffered. 1. Chican is seen as no big deal, and arresting someone for it is considered fussing. 2. The victims don't want to make a scene in front of everyone they will be riding the same train together with, every day. 3. The victims are afraid of being revenged by the molesters. 4. It's difficult for women wearing skirts or heels to chase a male Chican if they run away. 5. You will have to tell the police officers very specifically about how the crime happened. 6. If you get late to school or work because of Chican, no one will help you. 7. You will be seen as a pervert from others because of the pornography settings. However, this is just a side of the story of women, and there are the men's stories too, of them getting caught for false charges.
I mean, yeah, that does happen. I don't see why it wouldn't. But it's the same thing with like fucking reverse rape here, right? Like men can be fucking reverse raped, or you know, it would be fucking or you know, there's allegations against men that aren't necessarily true. Which is ridiculous. If I ever see this, I will scream and make a huge scene to be an annoyance. I mean, in the West, yes, that's okay, because you know our culture and society are different than Japan's. But in Japan, like, you get fucking like the 1,000-yard stare for like even fucking talking too loudly on the train, like just being an asshole. I mean, yeah, like whenever I see shit that's not okay, like say fucking violence or molestation or whatever, I'm gonna speak out about it. Like, I don't fucking care. Like, no one should be fucking doing that shit.
So, what did you think about the story I introduced? How would you think the people in your society react to such a situation? Please let me.
Chances are very good that the guy who was fucking doing this would be fucking like blocked in the head. Like, it's just like, I can see it, unless you know it's a fucking conservative politician, but we don't talk about those guys.
Let me know in the comments. Then lastly, I will introduce 3 ways that people can protect themselves from being a victim of Chican. Again, for those of you who are willing to come to Japan someday, this is surely going to be the most important part of this video. 1. Avoid riding certain cars and places on the train. 2. Ride the woman-only cars. 3. Keep the Chican prevention badge with you. There are certain cars or areas within the train that can make you especially vulnerable to Chican. 1. The cars closest to the ticket gate. It will be easier for the molesters to run away. 2. The train's connection areas. Other passengers will be harder to see if there's anything going on. 3. The area near the doors. One side of your body is blocked and cannot be seen by others, so it's easier for Chican to happen and for the molesters to run away. In other words, avoid the edges of the train and try to stand in the middle as much as possible, and near other women would be even better. If the train you're going to ride has a woman-only car, it's best you choose this car to lower the risk of encountering a Chican. Recently, there has been something called the Qigong Badge that has been gathering attention since 2015. And it says, Chican is a crime and I will accuse you of this, or I am not afraid to report Chican to the police. It was invented by a high school girl who was suffering from Chican almost every day and crying as she went to school.
Oh, could you imagine being like fucking 13 to like, I don't know, fucking 16 and like having Chican like fucking performed in you like daily? Fuck, that would suck. I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. That would just destroy me.
But after she started putting handmade badges on, she hardly experienced any Chican anymore. As an experiment, 70 high school girls put this on for 9 months, and 94.3% of them answered that it was effective. I really hope that these kind of inventions will develop even more in the future. Japan as a society.
You know, it just proves how fucking dog shit adults are. That sucks. Nobody should ever have to experience this. I mean, 100%. No one should have to fucking experience that ever. And the fact that people do have to experience that is fucking disgusting. It's even more disgusting considering that it's, you know, fucking minors experiencing it too. Like, it's fucking disgusting. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, it just goes to fucking prove how dog shit adults are. Like, we are so fucking bad that, you know, literal fucking children are having to solve the problems for themselves because, you know, we don't actually want to fucking do anything about our problems, about the problems that we face, whether it be like systemic or fucking climate or even instances like this. Like, it's, I mean, why the fuck do we care, right? We're just gonna die soon anyways, so who fucking cares, right? Like, we're the fucking worst.
Must improve its insufficient education at schools, as well as the culture of overtime work to stop these crimes from happening in the first place. As a father of 2 daughters living in Japan, I'm quite serious about this problem, and I'm willing to do everything I can to try.
Especially since he's a fucking shogo too. Like, don't mess with this man. He will fuck your shit up. Like, yeah, he's gonna
fight it.
I'm not gonna go light on you.
Today's conclusion. Japan is believed to have the highest number of Chican incidents in the world. Although the police reported that there were 2,212 incidents in 2017, according to a different survey, it was announced that only 10% of victims report the crimes to the police, and only 1/3 of the reported incidents are counted because some do not meet the circumstances. There are many different reasons why there are so many Chican incidents in Japan. 1. The overpacked trains. 2. The huge pornography industry and lack of education. 3. Japan is a sexless country due to overwork time. 4. Women cannot speak out because of the groupism society. I introduced 3 ways people can protect themselves from becoming a victim of Chican. 1. Avoid riding certain cars and places on the train. 2. Ride the woman-only cars. 3. Keep the Chican prevention badge with you. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. If this video helped you to learn about a different side of Japan, please hit the like button to help me boost this video to more people. And my goal is to achieve 1 million subscribers by January 2023, and your help.
Oh, nice. He is at 1 million. Nice.
In this channel, you can take a closer look.
Congrats, my guy.
Japanese traditional culture, tips on traveling to Kyoto.
I like this guy. We need to watch more of his stuff on stream. All right, let's move on to some more marketplace. Have a little bit of fun. Marketplace. What is this? How movers rip people off? Sure, let's watch it.
Tracking moving company nightmares. Why is it you estimate low and charge high? Why does that keep happening over and over? Picking up your stuff.
Okay, something weird's going on here with our trackers.
But are they picking your pockets?
Our stuff kind of went MIA. Our quote that we had been estimated increased more than $20,000.
$20,000. How to fight back and get your stuff back.
I'm not gonna give up.
They shouldn't be doing this. Makes me cry because I feel for these people.
This is your marketplace. Marketplace is on the move. Boxes full of what our movers will expect.
All right, here we go.
And something they won't. We've got these trackers. Gonna turn it on, put it inside, hidden one of our boxes. See what happens. Where will they take it? Will they weigh it? We're tracking these movers because we're hearing rip-off stories from you.
I'm honestly kind of curious to see what's gonna be going on. Like, I have a feeling that they might have like 1 or 2 incidents of this happening, but I'm not sure. So I'm kind of curious. Just gonna go with this.
Companies that pitch one price, then inflate once they've got your stuff. So they plan to charge us $1,500 to move it, but they also say that we will pay based on how much it weighs. If it weighs less, we pay less. Or so they say. As our hidden camera team watches the movers arrive,
turn left to Highway 400 North.
We're hitting the road to Owen Sound.
Hi, Sherry. I'm David.
Hi, David.
To hear about Sherry Watson's mess of a move. She hires Safebound Moving to move her 4-bedroom house from Brampton to Sudbury. But that was 7 months ago.
Our stuff kind of went MIA.
Safebound estimates her move at £6,000 based on what they call an industry average. Later, they invite her to fill out a spreadsheet that updates the tally. Without it, they say, quotes, cannot be guaranteed.
They had sent a thing which we were unable to open.
So she sends her own list. Moving day ends up stretching over 3 days.
The first day, they gave me the option to go to the weigh scale. They said they had overloaded the truck, and if they went there, they said they would make them take the stuff off of the truck and throw it out there.
So she agrees to a new weight estimate, or flat rate.
They said, okay, sign here, and I thought he had done me a huge favor by knocking it down so they didn't have to throw out my things.
By the end, Safebound's weight estimate goes up more than 500%. And only, she says, when they have all her stuff, does the cost jump from the original estimate of about $2,000 with tax.
Our quote that
Bro, that's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. Who fucking cares if her stuff's a little bit over? And like $2,000, that seems a little bit ridiculous to me. I'd rather just get a fucking moving truck and do it myself.
had been estimated, increased more than $20,000.
$20,000. They're now demanding 11 times the original quote. What did you think?
20,000?
I was just...
The fuck? $20,000? Bro, that's a giant price hike. That's like almost the fucking price of a car.
I was in disbelief at first. I was convinced that it was a mistake. Somebody hit the wrong numbers in the keyboard.
But they had your stuff at this point.
They had our stuff at this point. All I got was invoices and a demand to pay, or they were going to destroy my things. I think it's a complete scam. I mean, how you can grossly underestimate something like that is just beyond me.
But Safebound says Sherry's agreed to the charges, and she was told the cost would increase because she had more stuff than they expected. Sherry sees it differently and refuses to pay, leaving her to live without her stuff in an RV for months.
And this is coming on top of what?
I was diagnosed. Sorry. I can't
Cancer?
even say it. But I do have a terminal cancer.
Oh, that fucking sucks, man.
Sherry believes they're holding her belongings for ransom.
Our whole lives are in there. There's some very important paperwork that we need to...
Some people are not capable to do it themselves, but it's just stupid. Paying so much just for your stuff being slightly heavier is unexpected. I mean, yeah, but like a fucking... What, like having to pay like fucking 10 times the amount of what they initially had said, and on top of that, you know, her having fucking cancer is really fucking scummy.
to take care of things that we need to. You know, they stole my summer away from me that I could have had with my family while I was healthy.
That's tough. It's tough to say out loud.
It is very tough.
Sherry found her movers online, and we are too. Several quotes come in for our one-bedroom apartment.
All right, your quotes will be emailed to you shortly. Great.
Ranging from about $900 to about $1,400 taxes in. Safebound moving doesn't bite, but roadway moving does. And our digging shows a connection. Both companies have the same director, and the language on their websites is nearly identical.
Hi there.
Hi.
Good, how are you?
On our moving day, Roadway's team of 2 is courteous and careful.
Yeah.
The worst humans live on the same planet as me. I hate every stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's fucking disgusting.
So, good packing? Yes.
They first estimate 1,000 pounds based on what they again call an industry standard. When we send our list, that changes to 3,000. But once everything is loaded, out comes a new contract and a new weight.
Can you write here 4,000 and your signature? 4,000 means flat rate. You see the pound, flat rate. 4,000 pounds.
4,000 pounds? Based on what?
I think you don't understand.
Bro, they're literally just trying to scam people out of money. Like, how the fuck does this happen so often? Like, it's not even like fucking the moving industry either. It's like fucking the automotive industry. It's how the fuck does this stuff happen? Like, from people, even cancer patients. I mean, yeah, true. Like, fuck, this is why I don't like the cap system. It's just fucking dog shit. They put profit over people. It's so fucking gross.
You confirm it's 1 bed. Office will charge it for 1 bed minimum 5,000 pounds.
That's strange. We were told the minimum charge is 1,000 pounds.
I give for you 1,000 pounds less.
As they leave, our undercover producer doesn't know the final cost.
It's fucking nuts.
Lawyer Rocco Scocco is hearing a lot about moves these days.
Everyone who comes to me with this complaint about a moving company, they say, how is this company able to continue? And I said, our laws are not in place to do anything about it.
Capitalism, baby.
And more than 30 people who feel ripped off by various companies have come to him just in the past year, including Sherry.
Their theory is that they got her to agree to a flat rate. Her stuff's already in the truck. What is she going to expect it to do? To tell them to unload the truck after spending a whole day of lifting? It's a high-pressure situation, so she was not able to renegotiate.
Rocco and Sherry will make that argument in court as they fight to void the moving contracts.
All right, take care, my guy. I'm gonna
In
finish
Nova
this and
Scotia,
then.
Ardalan Garagosli is fighting too over his move with Safebound from Toronto to Halifax.
We had a nice Persian rock, so I had to buy this on Kijiji. Most of the stuff you see, I had to buy on Kijiji, which cost me a lot.
He and his partner make the trip, but their furniture doesn't.
We didn't know this stuff are not gonna make it, so we would just hold on to paper cups. They showed up very late, and then they take their sweet time to move this stuff. And everything you see, I bought it new.
He's quoted $483 with tax for 1,000 pounds. Again, they call it the industry average and send an inventory list too. Their fine print says if Ardalan doesn't fill it out, it'll be a flat rate. But he says no one explained that to him.
So only once they have your stuff in the back of the truck, you have you sign something that says what?
It weighs more.
A flat rate of 2,950 pounds.
In Toronto, I live in a big condo, and there's a lot of moving happening, and they're very specific with the timing. Like if you have 2 hours to move, you have to finish moving. So I just sign anything just to get rid of them.
That new contract.
Bro, that's fucking crazy. Like having to buy like everything new or off of Kijiji and use like fucking paper cups is ridiculous to me.
Leads to a new bill, $2,849.30, almost 6 times the original
Bro, that's
estimate.
fucking crazy.
You feel like you've been scammed.
I've been scammed.
Ardalan doesn't pay and plans to go to court. He's filing a complaint against the movers with Ontario's Ministry of Government and Consumer Services.
I'm not gonna give up. It's not just about my stuff. I don't want anybody to experience what I experienced, so I don't want other people to fall in the same trap.
And get this, Ardalan's invoice isn't from Safebound, who he hired. It's Roadway Moving, the company we've hired.
Hello?
Bro, what the fuck? Yo, this just proves on how dog shit services are.
So how's our move going? Just hours after pickup, Roadway calls with a new price.
It would be 32, 34, and 65 cents.
They now want almost double their original quote.
This is a lot more than what I was quoted.
Pricing based on what they call a 4,000 pound flat rate. What they don't know?
Here comes the fucking trackers.
We know it's really a third of their flat rate claim.
We have 1,280 pounds.
We could bust them right here, but we want to see what happens next.
I really need this stuff by tomorrow if I'm going to send this amount.
Roadway says if we pay, they'll stick to the plan for next day delivery. But when we arrive at the destination in Sudbury, the movers have a surprise for us.
Hello?
Hey, David, it's Caitlin.
They want to reschedule the move till a week from today.
Bro, what the fuck? That's fucking crazy. Also, his fucking face. Love. Fucking nuts, though.
A week from today, but today's supposed to be moving day.
They said
Because they didn't get the payment right away, that they've had to reschedule, and that's the soonest that they can come.
and I pushed back a bit because they actually did get both of the payments yesterday.
Meanwhile, different movers are coming to Sherry's rescue. Her lawyer arranged to have them get her stuff back from Safebound storage facility. What they find on the inside?
It's disgusting, man. Rat shit everywhere in here.
Doesn't look professional at all.
They can't even get into these other bays to see what is what.
Bro, that's fucking nasty. Imagine your fucking shit being stored here with like a whole bunch of like rat shit and everything. Oh, that's fucking awful.
But they look jammed.
One of these movers describes what he sees.
I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never seen anything like it. And it was, quite embarrassing to be part of this industry, actually.
After so long, without so many important things, Sherry is hopeful as the trucks pull in. She's hunting for keepsakes and her son's adoption papers.
There's 2 boxes literally that I need to find in this haystack of stuff.
Sherry sees damaged items. She's not even sure everything is here as the truck empties.
My daughter's jewelry.
Can I ask what it is, Sherry?
It's my daughter's confirmation jewelry and her baptism jewelry so it's very special to me.
There's no easy way to put this. Sherry is dying. Before she is gone, she needs her son's adoption papers.
This is the one box that I need to find, so
And no sign of it.
no sign of it. So I'm a little disheartened.
The most important thing may be lost.
Uh-oh.
Our moving
Bro,
truck
that's
is on the move.
fucking crazy. Like, what? That's so disheartening. So sad.
They seem to be heading back to Toronto, back to their warehouse. Can't explain that. Sorry about that. They charged this young woman a lot more than they said they were going to charge her.
This is your marketplace. In the darkness, the marketplace team gets an urgent alert. Our moving truck is on the move.
Okay, something weird's going on here with our trackers. 5:37 a.m. Yeah, look at that. They're just a little more than an hour away, so we better get to the locker now.
We catch up with Roadway Moving in Sudbury.
Oh, they're Tim Hortons. Yeah, there they are.
We're tracking them to keep tabs on their ETA.
All right, we're just like right behind it.
A week after they picked up our stuff, before almost doubling the estimated price of the move and delaying delivery. As the sun rises, we don't know what they're doing.
Okay, so we are watching the truck. It's sort of directly below us right now, either doing another pickup or delivery.
2 hours later, they hit the road.
They've missed the turnoff for where they're supposed to deliver our stuff to. Instead, they seem to be heading back to Toronto. Can't explain
Bro,
that.
what the fuck?
We follow for 80 kilometers.
Bro, this is fucking nuts. They're like on a high-speed chase, but less thrilling.
And they disappear.
Can't quite see them right at this minute. Where's the last place you see them there on the map?
It looks like they've stopped.
They've pulled into a hardware store lot.
Looks like they're heading toward Noelville?
45 minutes later, they're on the move again. Pull up to this house in Noelville. Start unloading into the garage. It's
Bro, what the fuck is going on? This is nuts. Like, what? This is actually fucking crazy.
not our stuff. They're moving this woman, Darlene Sherrington. As we watch from a distance, a big surprise, the police arrive in unmarked vehicles. The movers don't seem to care. What just happened?
What the fuck is going on? This is so fucking crazy. Like, what? The fucking cops show up and they're still fucking doing this shit. Oh, this is nuts.
We catch up with Darlene later.
Before he started to load up, he had this form and he said, okay, sign here, sign here, sign here.
That contract changes her industry standard quote for £1,000 to a flat rate of $4,000. It means they won't go to a scale.
On the highway going down to Noelville, I get a call from the girl at the main office, wherever they are. She says, your bill now is $3,029.
More than double what she's expecting.
Bro, this is fucking nuts.
We can't
Like, this is fucking nuts, right?
send the guys over with the truck.
Do you think you've been taken advantage of? Can you afford to be taken advantage of?
No. Because I had to ask my new husband to dish out $2,000 to pay for that. And that was not fair. They shouldn't be doing this to older people or even young people.
You shouldn't be doing this in general. Like, this is fucking disgusting, man. Like, what the fuck?
But they're older Canadians. They're on a fixed income.
Nancy Irvine of the Canadian Association of Movers worries what might have happened.
If they didn't have it, their stuff would be in a dumpster somewhere or in some storage unit.
Neither Roadway nor Safebound are members of her professional group, but she says she hears about them repeatedly.
How did the police get involved?
My husband turned around and said, no, says I'm calling the cops.
What did the police say to you?
They said, well, it pretty well looks about exactly what there should be in there.
Are you saying the police believe the movers?
Bro, that's fucking
Hours after
crazy.
they told us to expect them, they finally arrive at our storage unit.
Hello. How are you? Good. So it's just right. It's that one right. Just down there.
They start unloading the truck. We're here, hidden cameras rolling,
Ooh.
and seeing what they've smashed.
The fuck did they break?
Sorry about that.
What did they break? Bro, fucking movers are the worst. They are fucking awful.
I question them about our secret move.
They charged this young woman a lot more than they said they were going to charge her. A lot more.
How much?
They charged her more than $3,000. They said this stuff weighs 4,000 pounds.
No way.
No way it weighs 4,000 pounds? I don't think so.
Honestly, I've been working for 1 month here, but for my previous experience, I wouldn't say 4,000.
Bro, there is something going on. Like, what the fuck? This is so sketchy.
So in the beginning, we get this quote. They say £1,000, and then they say, well, actually, you filled out this inventory form, a little more than £3,000. Then they come and they say, oh, well, we'll give you a deal 4,000 pounds.
That's all part of it. They want to get you so confused.
But we're not confused because we know the exact weight of our move, 1,280 pounds.
It's just ridiculous. And it goes on day after day. And they're not the only ones. Roadway is not the only one.
No, they aren't. Remember Sherry, who used the related company Safebound? Her bill jumped from 2,000 to more than 20,000.
Oh yeah, and that's the stuff from the backyard.
The movers say Sherry had more than expected. They claim 36,500 pounds
Bullshit. I do not believe that. That's a bunch of bullshit.
in total.
There was gaming chairs up there too.
But what came out of storage is less than half that claim, just 16,240. And Sherry says they held her life hostage for 7 months.
It's fucking nuts. 7 months? Half a year? That's fucking nuts. That is ridiculous.
You know, they potentially took away my last summer with my family. There's paperwork in there that I need. There's things that I'd like to pass on to my children. You know, that I want to make sure go to the right places.
Oh my God. Makes me cry. Because I feel for these people.
Fucking breaks my heart, man. Like, it's disgusting. It's so sad.
Why is it you estimate low and charge high? Why does that keep happening over and over?
Everything I give on
Yo, they're gonna
emails,
be
and then
confronting
everything
them
I give
now.
on
Let's
statement to you
go.
guys.
Searching for answers next on your marketplace.
I've really missed watching this. I forgot how fucking awesome this was.
This is your marketplace. We've been investigating moving companies for months, hearing about low quotes, then big bills. There's a lot to follow here. How can they even estimate when they don't see your stuff until moving day? Canadian Association of Movers says that should never happen. There should always be a walkthrough first. Then there's flat rates. We have no idea what these are based on, but in our experience, their flat rate is way higher than the actual weight. And if you charge by the pound with penalties for being overweight, why is it they aren't weighing anything? We're going straight to the source to get some answers.
They can't do that, bro. What are you talking about?
We're outside Safebound Moving's office.
Dawn, I'm David from CBC Marketplace.
The company's sole director isn't getting out of his car.
Dawn, we're trying to figure out why it is that you repeatedly quote low and then charge high.
Bro, he's not gonna fucking let up. You just get out of the car and fucking talk to him. My man is crazy. He's done some really insane things.
Many times more than the original estimate.
We've been emailing Doan Chelik for weeks. He hasn't directly answered our questions, instead sending a statement saying he values his customers and promising a full review of operations. Chelik's
Doesn't
name
mean
rarely
shit.
appears on moving documents, so we turn to his own public social media postings to learn more about him and track him down.
My man's only getting like 3 fucking likes on Instagram. He's very, very important.
Can you help me understand this?
I give my statement.
No,
on,
we don't have
email.
answers to the questions.
There is no
Why is it
any
you
further
estimate
comments.
low and charge high? Why does that keep
Everything
happening
is
over
on
and over?
confirmation emails, and then everything.
Bro, you're losing a battle. You're losing this battle. Like, my man, my man will rip into you.
I give on statement to you guys. There is no any.
You don't want to challenge my man. He fucking goes into phone scamming places in India where they could possibly fucking murder him. I don't think he's afraid of you, my guy.
Further comment.
But
for
many
that.
of your customers think you're running a scam.
I gave you guys this statement, so you guys better check it, read it. You
We
cannot
have
just,
read it, but you haven't
cannot-
answered the questions
you
we've
cannot
asked.
just-
Why do you
I have no
estimate
any
low
further
and charge high? No answers to the questions, once again, that we asked. A great opportunity for him to help clarify why this keeps happening. But no answers.
Not for Ardalan,
I want my stuff back. Yeah.
who still doesn't have his stuff. Not for Sherry either, who was charged thousands more than the original estimate. She's been too sick since delivery to keep searching for those adoption papers.
Sad.
What do you do when the truck pulls up and it doesn't have a name on it and they're demanding that you sign something? You suddenly realize something isn't right.
You're screwed. You know, you can put a halt on it and try and find another mover, but it's really tough. There's nothing we can do. There really isn't, and it's so heartbreaking.
For more on how to avoid your own moving nightmare, check out
Bro, that's fucking crazy. Like, fuck. I can't believe. Fuck. So dog shit. Like, honestly, I'd rather just fucking rent a moving truck and fucking, you know, just do it myself, or have like fucking friends and family help. Like, it's why? Like, I understand why people would hire them, but like, I don't want to fucking deal with these clowns. Anyways, that's it for today. Probably gonna start building our house finally tomorrow. So busy doing that. And yeah, we'll have more fun probably next time, provided something new doesn't come up for. So until then.